Chronic hepatitis, especially with the cirrhosis involved, here we have over a period of time where it goes over and over and over, and it keeps on creating scar tissue and scar tissue and scar tissue, and it's pretty hard to back out of it. Again, we're suggesting this is a hepatic deficiency, in this case a severe deficiency, and it takes a long time to build that chronic situation up, and it takes a long time to be able to back a person out of it. Lots of times this is chronic hepatitis C, as I pointed out. This also can be, cirrhosis can be the end game of the alcohol situation we talked about earlier. Usually when a person has the chronic cirrhosis from chronic hepatitis, the doctors just giving them, okay, now we have to put you on a transplant list. That's the only cure for you here. Of course, depending on what their lifestyle choices have been in the past, would go into their scoring system, how easy is it for them to get a liver transplant. It usually doesn't happen. But sometimes it was a mistake 35 years ago, and you know, you've turned the leaf, you paid your price to society, now you're all right, it can work. By putting a new liver in is not necessarily going to fix the problem, because especially if you have a viral load in there, it's going to go to that same issue. So it's not that easy to be able to get on a list in this case. And we're suggesting, we don't know how functional it will be anyway. We would slowly try to restore it. Yes, Zoe?
So if you were undergoing like any sort of treatment or therapy that was actually working, would your liver be able to regenerate itself, or would the scar tissue be permanent damage?
This is what you've hit on here is the perennial question here. If your liver has got to the level of cirrhosis, is it permanently damaged or can it repair? From a holistic CAM herbalist point of view, we're suggesting that the liver is the most restorable, regenerative organ in the body, basically, and it can be 80% problematic, and it can restore itself. So we feel the answer is yes. It's not. It will restore itself. It can restore itself. The medical community say no, that thing is so scarred up that there's no way you're ever going to repair it. But they don't have any trophic restoratives in the armamentarium, so they're just trying to literally have a military battle function in there, and the military battle function with the various pharmaceuticals they're using could make the problem worse. So, mainline medicine, the answer is no. From a herbalist point of view, the answer is yes, it could happen. So it really comes down to various things feed into the sclerosis itself, but various scarring tissue and various alcoholisms will feed into that central area. Of course, we have to take out these various problems around the side so we're not adding to it, and slowly give the trophic restoratives. There's been lots of evidence that in severe sclerotic situations, milk thistle over a period of time will rebuild the liver. The mushrooms will rebuild the liver. Even dandelion root will slowly rebuild the liver by taking care of some of the functions and making it flow through. So basically, a person has to change a lot in their life dietarily, herbally. They have to have a come to Jesus meeting, as it were, that they really have an epiphany that they are going to change their life. Lifestyle issues are obviously just as important as part of that, but the emotional issues are also part of that, because these people would tend to have a lot of anger, envy, competition, jealousy issues. So we might need some flower essence in to deal with that level of issue. Yes?
So what about the scar tissue? Like, if you're rebuilding the liver, is it going to rebuild around the...
It rebuilds around the scar tissue, and it takes care of some of the scar tissue. Okay. So it actually regenerates. So I'm not suggesting that a person's had severe sclerosis, if you worked on them 10 years later, you're going to open them up, they're going to have a liver of a baby. That's not the case. But it's kind of like when a person has a severe burn, there's all kinds of rough tissue in there, but you can rebuild the tissue to a degree over a period of time.
Could you use enzymes like the silkworm one, serrapeptase, to break down the scar tissue in the liver, or that only works on muscle?
Good question. Could you use serrapeptase as an example, or any other proteolytic enzyme, to be able to work on this? The answer is probable. Whoopensine have actually done some phenomena. It's not serrapeptase, but it is another set of proteolytic enzymes, and they've done some studies over in Europe that they've shown that they can rebuild the liver and break down some of the scar tissue there. Probably serrapeptase would work. I have not used either one of those in this case, so I can't give any evidence to it, because I've had, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've had good results with the underlying function of the mushrooms. Let's face it, if we look at the function of these mushrooms, they're the alchemists. They can transmute lower metals into gold, for heaven's sakes. What do you think they can do to a liver? But part of it literally comes down to attitude. And what I mean by this, if a person goes to a medical doctor and they're told, you're never going to rebuild that liver, someone in a white smock telling you that can have a dramatic effect on your emotions. Then they come into me and I go, what do you mean? We can transmute lesser metals into gold. What do you think we can do with your liver? Of course we can restore it, but you have to make some lifestyle commitments. That also has as much of a positive feedback loop as a negative feedback loop. There are placebo effects and there are nocebo effects. The nocebo effect can create a destiny just as much as a placebo effect. I'm not suggesting that talking about the emotions here are just the only thing that's working, but it's one of the things you have to bring on board. May it be the flower essences that you're really working with, may it be the mushrooms, may it be the simple things like the dandelion, and of course the milk thistle are all part of that protocol to build it up. And I've definitely seen people that were literally left to die 25 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that are quite healthy now. I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that 100% of the people who come in with sclerotic livers have been able to survive 3 months, because they haven't. But it does seem to change the quality of life. And I've never done a statistical analysis, I couldn't give you a percentage, but I would say it's well over 50%. Any last questions about the liver? Okay, so that's it for today. I don't have the marked sheet, so we're not going to be